Piece of cake, man. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go over the fingerings on how I did that. So just starting from your low B, 2 octaves up to your high B. C is the same, D is the same, E flat is the same. When I get to F, I'm using the front with the high F sharp key. You can use the front with the side if you don't have a high F sharp key on your saxophone. I sometimes, when I'm just going up to a high F sharp, I'll use 1, 2, 4, and 5 to play F, and then I'll just lift the 2 key to go back and forth between F and F sharp. So for Altissimo G sharp, 1, 2, 3, and side C. For Altissimo A, I'll just use the 3 key. For Altissimo B, I'll add the E flat key to that. For Altissimo C, I'll add the side E. For Altissimo D, I'll just go to the front key by itself. For Altissimo E flat or D sharp, all open. Altissimo F, 1, 3, and 4. I call this split F in the terminology that I've created. Split means the fingering with the 2 finger up. So 1, 3, and 4 gives us an Altissimo F. I will add the E flat key to that fingering to play Altissimo F sharp. I only really use that fingering for Altissimo F sharp in this type of circumstance. You can also play Altissimo F sharp with just the 1 key. So for G sharp, boom, just the 3 key. For A, the 1 key. For B, the E flat key. For C, the front key. And for D, 2 and 3. I like to call this a vented G. Vented in the terminology that I've created means the fingering, but the first finger up. It's like you're venting the tube at this location here. So for double Altissimo D, 2 and 3. All right. If you want to support the channel, ladies and gentlemen, and help this channel grow, you can buy me a piece of cake. I will put a link in the description. It's the same company as Buy Me a Coffee. This is similar to like Patreon or Kickstarter, that kind of thing. If you want to make a donation, that would be greatly appreciated. I will post a link in the description below for that. Okay, let's figure out efficient ways of actually using the diminished scale. Okay, let's do it. So I have recently released my Diminished Scales book. It is called A Scalar Approach to All Things Diminished. One of the things that I want to really emphasize more in the video, so the book isn't 2,000 pages long, is the idea that you can use 2 diminished scales over a dominant 7 chord, because there are 2 diminished scales that have the 3rd and the flat 7. I'll play the 1, 5, 1, and then I'll break it down. When I go to the 5 chord, I can build a diminished chord off of the 3rd. You can hear the 2 diminished scales. Now, how I use the scale will ultimately determine the effectiveness of it. So with those 2 scales, I just want to think about my resolution points. My resolution points are going to be the major 9, the major 7, the 5, and the major 3rd of the C chord. Don't resolve this to the root using this technique. So if I play the diminished scale that sounds like this, that diminished scale does not have the root of the G7 in it. What it does have are 2 resolution points. The D, which is the major 9th, and the B natural, which is the major 7. The other scale is going to resolve to the perfect 5th or the major 3rd. Okay, so if I'm going to use both of those together, I can play something like this. This is my Cannonball Vintage Reborn. This is one of the 20th anniversary horns. I'm looking into selling this. I might go through one of the local music stores to sell it. If I do that, I will give you guys a heads up. But if and or when I do sell it, I'm going to be selling this neck and the original neck. And I'm also going to get rid of some mouthpieces also. And I'm even looking into giving away some physical copies of some of the books, but I haven't yet worked all of that out yet. Okay. So one thing you want to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, is that when you are using one of the 2 diminished scales that you can use, you want to keep in mind what color tones are available to you. So first, understand that if you are using the correct diminished scale, you always have the major 3rd, the perfect 5th, the flat 7, and the flat 9. You always get those with the use of the diminished scale on the dominant 7 chord. So let's take a look at some of the color tones that we get when we decide to use the 2 different diminished scales. Okay, so we take a look at this scale here, and you can see that we have the flat 13th, and we have the flat 9. We also have a natural 9. That's not really a color tone. That's also a passing tone that's giving us emphasis to the flat 9, just like we have the perfect 4th that's putting emphasis on the major 3rd. And with the other scale, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that we have the sharp 11. We have the 13th. It's not really a color tone per se, but we have the flat 9 like we always have in both of them. Then you can see that we have the sharp 9. So being able to use both of these scales interchangeably really opens up the whole floor for what we can use in terms of color tones. Now, granted, we don't have all of them there. One key one that we are missing is the use of an altered 5th, because remember, we actually have the flat 13th in one, then we have the sharp 11 in the other one, because like I said earlier, we always have the natural 5. So this is very useful, using these diminished scales to create color tones, but they don't always match the actual chords that we are playing. All right, so just keep that in mind when you decide to use these. All right, for you, so obviously I have my All Things Diminished book here. I have my intro to Altissimo for alto, and I have this one also for tenor. But I decided to throw in some Altissimo fingerings for the 3 fully diminished scales as a bonus, as you can see down here for the diminished book. And obviously, I have some merchandise that's available. You can find all of that on the same link. I will post a link for Woodwind Brasswind for this Auto Link mouthpiece. I'm just using the regular Supertone Master Auto Link. I did use the Vandoren ligature that I have, but it works, but I don't really recommend using that for the Auto Link. It's just the one that I had. And I was using the Rigotti Gold 2.5 reed for that in this demonstration. So I'll put a link down in the description box for all of that stuff. So thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I got for you. See ya!